So let me get this straight. We're going to keep Warhammer Underworlds, even though it was like basically 6 feet under. They probably haven't pushed the dirt on it yet, but like, you know, as far as sales went and interest, it was under the ground for sure.
It was, yeah.
You know,
definitely here.
But they're going to keep it. They're going to keep it. They're keeping that game alive. And they still haven't brought back Mordheim yet.
Oh, I know.
How is that possible?
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Welcome to another Lords of War Games and Hobbies video. I'm Chris, this is Jay. And we do these fun little industry talks a couple times a week. So if you like what you hear, give us a subscribe and a like and maybe even a Patreon follow. Ooh, spicy.
Yep.
So this is actually one of our Patreon members brought this question up to us. And I think it's like kind of a fun topic to explore because we have all of these games that Games Workshop's brought back, and then also a lot of these new little games they've created over the last decade or so, since they've really gone on their expansion phase in terms of miniature offerings. And for a lot of people that have been in the hobby a long time, Mordheim is this like holy grail of miniature game.
Yeah,
and
very beloved,
very beloved. And I'm not sure if that's the reason, but it also feels like it's part of the reason why Games Workshop, like, it's like they're afraid. It's like a cursed artifact. It's beloved, but they're afraid to touch it almost, maybe, because they don't want to. They know they have one shot to make a lot of money, probably. And you probably want to get that right. And what do you think that looks like? Actually, the first question is: do you think it would even come back? Like, do you think they'll bring it back?
So, I think it will come back.
Okay.
I do think. It's too good not to bring back. I don't know. And again, we like to always joke lightheartedly about some of the things they brought back, which I didn't think was that, were like, in my opinion, super niche. So like the Titanicus and the Legion Imperialis games, which again I'm thrilled to exist. But I was like, really, you made this before that? I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now in my head, I'm kind of seeing. I could see. So I think the plan or the template they might use is the Old World one.
Interesting.
And I do still hope that they make new minis, but I could see a path that involves like maybe they were like, let's see how the return of square basing goes, because I think they want to bring it back in that form.
Man,
like square bases and like.
It's funny because my brain didn't even go there. And that actually, now that you've said that, makes so much sense. Because what are they really drawing on with Mordheim? It's like, let's be real, it's nostalgia, right? So bringing back the old stuff would make, like you said, would make a lot of sense to follow that same template. And you're probably right, too. Like, if they're going to re-release Old World, you don't want to, like, have it competing with another nostalgia-based game, right? Like, so that takes place in the same universe. So probably, like you said, like they're going to follow this project through, wait till it's stable and it's doing, they can kind of generate those steady sales, and then that might be a time when they look at bringing it back, maybe. Yeah.
But like, they could do a box with some new plastics, and then re-release a bunch of old teams in this. They seem to be going through all the models in the vault for Old World and retooling some and doing some Forge World bits and low risk projects. Like, I could see that being a thing. I would love it if they just went all new all the time with that stuff.
Sure.
But I think it will come back for sure. It's just
imagine the terrain you could get now in a Mordheim box.
I know.
Like a ruined city would be so cool for fantasy.
It would be very cool. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the Gondorian building sets
are nice, really nice. Yeah,
would make sense to me if you just styled them more in the Old World style. And they had some nice Old World terrain, obviously, or they still do. You think of like the Skullmane Vance and the fortified banner and the towers, and like you could. It's always tricky with the terrain. The terrain's always that thing that like they do make amazing terrain, but it is the thing that people are like the least excited. It's like 1 out of 100 people buys all the terrain to make the awesome table, because it's just so much. It costs as much as collecting an army, but it's just for looks, right? So, no, I mean going with the the Underworlds thing. I think that's a bit of a side topic, but I think they are. I think maybe there's an effort here to like to not or to try not to do the thing that happened in the early 2000s. I think they want to like if they're like, okay, if we made this game, it has to live, 5, 10, or however many years. Like they don't want to just axe it too quickly because then people are going to
want to be like Asmodee or whatever and just
for any Star Wars game
and then just
ever
like
made.
People will lose faith in your products entirely.
Yeah,
because like, oh, why should I buy
like
into
this
new game?
And I buy it's just going to die in a year or two, and so I think there's like a bit of that. I do also think that Underworlds as a game and a product is like relatively low effort in terms of like. I'm not saying I think they still release teams for it, but I think they could they've released enough teams they could like recycle some teams. They could, it's mostly probably just making some new boards and cards. They don't, and then whatever they do make for it, it just gets, spills into AOS anyway. So, I know a lot of people are waiting for us to apologize about like poo-pooing and saying it's dead. Because they're releasing it doesn't mean, I guess it's technically alive, but. I don't know. I guess the real question would be like, is anyone going to actually play it? Because I haven't seen anyone sniff a game of that in 5 years or something. Like, and it's had lots of new releases. So
I mean, before we put that video out, I did my journalistic duty, which was like I went on Warhammer Community and I said, when's the last time they even talked about this?
Articles
and it was like something like 5 months. And to me, I'm like, well. They don't do that with any other game that they make. They don't just go quiet like that, right? So, I don't know. I feel like I did my I'm not even a journalist, but I did some level of research.
You did a quick Google.
And then, they basically invalidated our video that day by announcing something.
They sure did. It was.
You know what? You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Like, we called it dead, and they're like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's dying.
It's dying. It's not dead.
Just because they hooked it up to the breathing machine and it is technically alive.
I do have and obviously this video is about Mordheim, but the segue, I think it's important. Like one of the things I think about Underworlds that the reason it'll never recapture the magic it had. Let's be honest, I think it was about price. Yeah. Like I'm talking in Canadian fun bucks here, but 130 Canadian dollars versus 70.
Yes.
Is a massive difference, like for someone to we're talking like $70 for a complete game, and that person's making that comparison to be like, oh, I could get like 10 intercessors for my Space Marine army, or I could get a brand new game, complete box or whatever. It was a really easy ask for someone to try it. Yeah. Now it's $130. Okay, it's okay. It's like one of my big tank models for my Space Marine army, and I'm like, kind of want that tank. Do I want to try this game? So I guess like 5 years has passed as well.
And the thing is, it doubled in price, but didn't double in content. Like
no, it's the exact same. You get the boards,
two teams, some boards and cards.
Teams,
there was,
and we can agree that inflation's a thing, because we passed the pandemic Rubicon, and but that's not making up for all of it. Like it should probably be about $95 probably. If we're just talking inflation, just inflation, right?
Sure, or just keep it as a loss leader. Like I don't know why it was supposed to just get crossover and get card players and people playing their games because it was fun and all that.
They've moved away from that.
They've
moved back to that with their big games, but they've moved away from that with their small games a little bit.
Yeah.
Luckily, we're seeing them return to that with Kill Team again. The new Kill Team starter set's going to be bonkers.
Very good.
But you can compare the $130 new Shadespire, or I keep calling it Shadespire, or Underworlds box set is the same price as the starter set for 40K, which has 40 or 50 models in it.
I know.
Yeah. So from a value standpoint, you're like, what am I getting here, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just a little bit of a segue there, obviously.
Yeah. But anyway, I think the Mordheim, it kind of just fell into my mind right now that I think it probably is a roadmap that's interlinked with the old world thing, most likely, and I think they're gonna bank on the just raw nostalgia powering it, and the way they can do that is making it look as authentic as it did, because they've done, you could call spiritual successors in the, cursed cities and the
so that's a good interesting thing to bring up. Like I think like the craziness of Curse City really showed that there's an interest there still for new like people went bonkers over that set.
Yeah,
when it came out.
Yeah, and these are also they fill a really important but like undervalued niche, which was the like solo one player market. That's a lot of people that consume that like it because it's like a project that they work on, and all the minis are unique, and it's a game that they can play against like the AI or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have to be played in a group. So there's a whole section of the hobby that's kind of like that, which is actually, I mean, if you go in the broader sense, it's like any model cars, planes, trains, ships. Like that's often done a solo crafty project that you do. So why not make miniatures do this, like, or whatever. Wargaming can be done the same way. But no, I think they've done those. I think they should do more of those. They probably should do one a year. I don't know why they're so stingy with the.
What would you say to the objection? So I'll be devil's advocate here. Like I'll say, oh, Mordheim's not coming back because we made Warcry.
Yeah.
And we made Underworlds, and so there's already a number of smaller fantasy offerings. What would you say to that as an objection?
It's true. I mean, Warcry. When Warcry came out, it had a lot of people buzzing because it felt like the AOS Mordheim game, sort of like little war bands. I think where it struggles is and maybe it'll take more time, is it doesn't seem to have the setting to make it work. Like it's too like nebulous and broad. It's some Chaos Warbands in a wasteland. Well,
they've hard pivoted off of that now.
Yeah, and now they kind of create other little settings, and it's just like it's just skirmishes happening in random with little warbands and things, and they're not just Chaos Warbands; they're just like whatever.
Yeah.
I think Mordheim's main charm obviously was like you're in this. I think what happens in obviously Mordheim's an Empire City, and there's like a good reason for all these warbands to be there, and I don't know, the setting was just much richer, and the warbands had like so much character in them, and they were like I don't know, something about that magic was just much more powerful than what they've done with Warcry, but also the attention to detail of like there's a reason a lot of these like the Blood Bowls and the Necromundas are like beloved and popular, is because like you start with like garbage guys and they work their way up, or they get hurt, or the list building is very is almost a hobby in itself.
It's like experiential, right?
How can you make the dumbest or silliest combo, or the most expensive guy that's fragile or really powerful? Like people love that part, and then making the minis that go with it. And I think Mordheim had some of that. Whereas
and then it almost like borrows. It almost borrows, like overlaps with the RPG world, right? And borrows from
that's
that
it.
Interest,
so
right?
There's the RPG thing, and none of the nothing in AOS does that at all, because AOS was very much about the like making a game and product line that was about just getting new people. They intentionally wanted AOS to be populated with mostly new people. They were like, the old world experiment failed at the time, so they wiped the slate clean, and they knew they were going to obviously lose a pile of people, but they were like, it's fine, we weren't making any money off them anyway, which is factual. So they're like, we're going to start over. And so then everything from the ground up was like about making model kits that are like simpler to build, don't have a lot of options. A lot of the way the War Scroll is designed is for ease of play, and it matches how you build the units. So when you open a box of guys, you just build them. There's no little
for those that got into the hobby recently, that was actually like a big change, because historically there's so much variety in how you can build
model kits. Used to be like, here's a pair of legs, a torso, a left arm, a right arm, a head, and then there was like more arms and heads than you needed, so that you could do these, like every model could be unique in that way. The limitation though is you have to create limbs that fit every guy, so there was you actually limiting how dynamic you could make the minis. Whereas they've gone the other way for years now, where it's about like, let's make the model look as absolutely cool as we can and not worry about the custom. I mean, to be honest, it probably, if you look at the graph, probably was the right decision, but But yeah, you do lose. Now they continue. There's a tradition of it. It continues in the Horus Heresy, in the Necromunda world, especially with the upgrade packs. But yeah, Warcry doesn't have that. Underworlds doesn't have that at all. So you miss the RPG thing altogether, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is interesting. Like, I think you can make arguments like, well, they have these really niche games like Legions Imperialis. They are keeping Warhammer Underworlds alive. Mm-hmm. They tried something like Aeronautica, which is such a small, like, even when it was a game before, it was so small, such a tiny little sliver of a hobby. Yeah. And so they've thrown money. We're talking plastic sets. They've thrown money at all these things, and they continue to do so. And so it really does make you wonder if they can do that, why wouldn't they revisit a franchise that was like, has a ton of people that love it, and has, it actually probably wouldn't be too demanding in terms of like, making something.
Well, they have a very, slam dunk crossover they could do, or whatever you want to call it, is it could be built around Mordheim, or not Mordheim, the Vermintide. It's Vermintide, the video games, basically a lot of the missions are in these like old Empire towns, like, and you could have plastic minis for all the the main characters, Carillion, Sienna, and whatever the other characters were, the dwarf and the what do you call it? The witch hunter guy.
They also haven't made a video game, have they?
A Mordheim video game? I don't think so. Maybe I don't know.
That's crazy to me as well. Like, they have all these video games and all these licenses.
They could make one. They could do the Blood Bowl thing and make it like tactics, kind of like with the squared-based squares and how you move, and they could probably do that even. They could even start there. But I still think its main success would be to do it like as pure and nostalgic and old school as possible, with the old minis and make the layout in the book look exactly, even make the box art copy the old format, maybe, like, I think that would be very powerful. I think, and you could one and done it, and then a year later, 6 months later, release some little content for it. Like, it would do fine. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a sprawling wall experience. Like, I think sometimes people think that, like, some of these games don't need to be these big things. They can be really specific,
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So,
I
think it's coming back.
Yeah.
I don't know when, but maybe the next 18 months.
Well, they need, I guess we're already in the fall, so we're not going to see it this year, obviously. But you can ask yourself, okay, next year you can already start plugging in, okay, like Horus Heresy is going to be the summer. They're going to do the new edition for that, right? You can put that in pen ink or whatever in for July. And then they always usually have, like, especially, like, say it's a non 40K year next year, right? It's not a 40K year, so they need to load it up, right? So you're probably going to see a new box game or a new type of game, or a bunch of new editions for box games.
More editions, more.
Last week's
another edition,
new edition.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see what'll happen there, but I'm pretty optimistic that it'll come back at some point as well. I just think they have to get through. They might be through the Rolodex of nine armies by then, anyways, in the old world, right?
Oh yeah,
because they're gonna bang out a bunch in the early part of next year in the spring. High Elves Empire, Beastmen. What else? Left?
That's it.
That's it. 4. Okay. Yeah.
So in
easily.
Theory, you could. Depends how fast they want to be. Now they're going to like double tap High Elves and double tap Empire.
Yep.
They might double tap all of them except for maybe. Yeah. I mean, maybe.
We're gonna say except for Beastmen.
Except for Beastmen, I had to pause for a second.
You do a half tap for that. What's a half tap look like?
I mean,
no, it'll probably be fine.
The Beastmen have a lot of kits.
They actually work really. I think they just like they never really quite fit AOS.
No,
they do look really good, like as a classic Warhammer army.
They do. Yeah. I mean, if you go that way and you stretch it out, by this time next year they could be definitely complete the old world cycle.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah.
Oh, they should
if they really wanted to. Yeah. Excuse me, and then I have a feeling that we're gonna get a series. I just follow the Horse Heresy map, and there's going to be, I think there's going to be something like Siege of Sithonia or whatever, like these like campaigny things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just like in Siege of Sithonia, which was like, was it that one or whatever one that the Forge-World Fulgrim came alongside with?
Yeah.
They could do something like that. They could make they could redo. No, maybe not. I don't know, but the history timeline, maybe not. I was like, damn, can it has to fit the history of the time.
Plastic Primarchs.
Plastic, yeah. I mean,
dude,
yeah.
Like, they make like a Votan birthday celebration miniature that nobody buys. Sorry, not nobody. People buy it.
Not as many people.
You telling me you can't make a plastic Horus Heresy Primarch that everyone would want to collect?
Yeah.
Like, that's where you're like...
You just... Yeah.
I think it's coming, man. Yeah. I'm saying it now. I know this is completely... We're in a Mordheim video, and Chris is putting down the plastic Primarch thing, and I'm like, it's happening. This is garbage time. I can say whatever I want.
You can say whatever you want after 20 minutes. Yeah. Anyway, I think we're going to do some campaign books for the old world with some sort of thing.
That'd be pretty cool.
And that's what I'm assuming is going to happen. And then who knows? And then maybe that'll take them to the 3-year mark sooner. Maybe they're going to like just garbage time their way up to like 3 years, and then they'll 2.0 or whatever.
Oh man, that's 3-year cycles.
Old world mark 2. Yeah. The magic phase is back or whatever.
Oh no! Oh yes!
Dragons suck now. Build your armies differently,
like they always did before. Yeah.
Yeah. Cannonballs do D6 damage again. I don't know. Who knows, man?
Well, either way, we appreciate you guys watching, and if you stayed for garbage time, God bless you.
God bless.
Yeah.
God bless.
Like and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.